on blast.
We are back, and people were, I gotta say, it was so nice to hear how excited people were to have You Killed It back. I'm John Chidley Hill.
And I am Sheldon Alexander, and it is good to be back. I mean, you know, we set up a time every week. It kind of like bounces around because of our schedules, or maybe because of network outages or such. I mean, yeah, there's a lot going on. I realized I didn't even post a video of last week's pod, and someone messaged me, and I was just like, oh, yeah, I didn't do that. And why didn't I do that? Because of network outages, because even when network did work, it didn't really work. And then I just was working and forgot. Here we are.
I was going to say, I was wondering where the comments were about how attractive I am. Now I know you're withholding from the people. You are denying them their zaddy. I don't know about that. I don't think that's right, Sheldon. I think you gotta give the people what they want, which is me looking very tired on a Thursday morning.
I apologize for that. You know.
Fortunately, I have a big forgiving heart, and I can see past this one flaw of yours.
Oh, okay. I'll take that.
Yeah, that's pretty good. It's kind of a backhanded compliment. I want to say, on Twitter, we got so many reacts, but of course, this morning, as we start to record, Twitter is not working because our society is crumbling around us.
So the question will be, did we actually get this Twitter feedback, or are we making it up just to sound cool?
I mean, I can read one comment from Heather27. Hi, Heather. Welcome back.
Hello.
We missed you. She said that she just finished listening to our first Challenge USA podcast. She's glad we're back. She's a huge Survivor fan. She points out that Tyson was a professional cyclist and a Division I college swimmer, also a master strategist. Don't sleep on him. We got accused of sleeping on Tyson a lot, including from our guy, or maybe I should say my guy, Lawrence.
Wow. Okay.
Who you snubbed last podcast.
There
and I
is
am
no
here to defend Lawrence Thomas.
Wow. Okay, go on.
LT and you, me, and LT, we had a little menage a tweet where we were talking about Tyson.
Hold on. Menage a tweet. Is that a thing, or did you just make that up?
It is now.
Oh, okay. You really just made that up?
Yeah.
Wow, I feel like you should like copyright that. That's pretty good.
Thank you. That's so kind of you. So he, Lawrence LT, superfan LT, was also saying that we should not sleep on Tyson. He specifically said that you sounded like Stephen A. Smith.
Wow.
On Luca on draft night.
Wow.
For you non-basketball fans, which is okay. We still love you. That is quite the reference.
So here's what happened, okay? And Twitter's working on my phone. I don't know. All right. Yeah, I'm scrolling back pretty far, so I guess it's working. Yeah, it's working on my phone. And
must be nice.
So LT was upset because I referred to him as someone at work. Now, and he said, and he even changed his Twitter handle to someone at work. It says, apparently I got left back on MTV as two, but I'm still pumped to have You Killed It back. My guy, Sheldon Alexander, talking about Tyson and sounding like Stephen A. on Luca on draft night. Don't sleep. Jay Chidley Hill, talk to your boy, which would be a Stephen A. Smith-ism. And to which I responded, and I said, and I can't even find it now, of course, because that won't let me load. Okay, never mind. I responded and said, what actually happened was, while I was talking last week on the pod, we're doing this live to tape. There's no stops, there's no edits. We're just cooking live. And as I was talking, I was trying to remember whether it was LT or my other boy, Timmy Hags, at work, who was telling me about the cookout. And it turns out it was both of them. So while I'm speaking, while also thinking about that in my head, I just said someone at work. And LT took offense to that. So I would like to take this opportunity right off the front end of the pod to apologize to my boy, LT, my good friend, my Centennial colleague, my work colleague, my really good friend. I'm sorry. But
I don't know.
I'm not
This might
repping
be
Tyson.
too little too late. I think LT is fully in the JCH camp now. I think he's repping my colors now. I think he's now my guy.
Jeez.
I do love the behind the scenes thing that we do not edit this podcast. Like,
there's no way people thought we edit this podcast.
I used to
like tangents. No, but the amount of tangents that we go on about nothingness or like Northern or music or literally anything but the challenge. There's no way we edit this podcast. Doing it live.
I used to edit this podcast. Like at the very first 30 episodes, I put my heart and soul into those edits. I would edit out every long breath. But as we've gotten better at podcasting, and there's fewer breaks, and there's fewer ums and uhs and stuff like that, unless there's something really egregious, like when one of us has to take a phone call or something. Yeah. Like I don't leave 5 minutes of dead air. But otherwise, no cuts, just raw.
Or there was construction going on at my house, or construction workers just barging into my house, or sawing or hammering or something like that. Yes.
Or when when you had to go speak to a contractor and I just sang Venga Boys to myself for 5 minutes.
That is a thing that happened. Yes. I left to speak to a contractor. I came back to John singing the Venga Boys Are Coming. I mean, where else can you get such context than that you killed the podcast, right?
I kind of wish I'd left that in.
Okay, I'm going to scroll through a few more comments here because we did get a bunch off of Twitter, and we do want the peoples to message us, whether it's here on Twitter or on the YouTube page or on the SoundCloud page or wherever you get your podcasts, rate, subscribe, all that other fun stuff. To quote my man, Bomani Jones, rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. If you only give us 4 stars, I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. I love that line. So the Unreal Fogey says, Jay Chidley Hill and Sheldon Alexander, I hope you guys will cover the Challenge USA over the summer. Well, your wish is our command. We are here.
Just for you. We weren't going to do it for at all, but then we got one tweet.
Yeah, the one tweet convinced us to do it. Eric says, I have to defend Survivor here. In my opinion, Survivor of all the other shows is the closest to the challenge. 2, Survivor dailies are far from, quote, backyard games. That would be Big Brother. Also, they are doing challenges with little to no sleep/food. They are mostly, I can't load the second tweet. Second tweet won't load. Twitter's down. Blame Twitter. Blame Elon. Trina says, so happy to have Shell, Alexander, and Jay Chidley Hill are covering the Challenge USA. She also says, okay, one thing about Kylan is I promise he definitely watched 10 seasons. He's constantly doing the most. So last week we were discussing, because Kylan said that not only was he working out for the challenge, but he also watched the last 10 seasons of the challenge in preparation. So, okay, Trina, I'll take your word for it. You know, we didn't see much of Kylan in episode 2, but he had a solid performance again. Okay. I'll keep going. Laura says, Tyson is Survivor's version of Wes. Strong swimmer, exceptional endurance, cocky confessionals, strategic smarts, and an enormous ego. You're either going to hate him or love him, no in between. I know which side I'm on, Laura, and I'll get to that soon. We call that a tease.
I do like that Laura found a way to call Wes and Tyson arrogant 2 times over in the same sentence.
Mm-hmm.
Good use of synonyms. I respect it.
It was like, what did they call that? A compliment sandwich? Is that what it is? You start with the good, diss them in the middle. Oh no, that was the opposite. I think she dissed them on either end with the compliments in the middle.
Yeah, it was an insult.
Strong swimmer. No, well, she started with strong swimmer, exceptional endurance, cocky confessionals, strategic smarts, and an enormous ego. Sarah says, very happy I found this because I haven't listened yet, and I am preemptively anxious about Survivor being mischaracterized. That's from Sarah. Well, Sarah, I hope you did listen. And I don't know if you did message us after that because, again, blame Elon, but Twitter is down. So again, send us all your comments and questions wherever you get your podcast, and we will try to read them on the pod if we remember, but there are times we don't remember because we don't really produce a pod. We just kind of cook. We get on here and cook. To quote, just like Luca, you give Luca the ball sometimes, he clears out and he cooks.
In all seriousness, I think part of it is there's two things. Sometimes we're really tired and punchy when we record this podcast.
Sometimes.
The other thing is that I'm just gonna speak for myself. I just get really excited. I get excited to talk to you. We usually hype each other up, where we talk shit about our industry and then start recording.
We don't do that. That never happens.
I've got no problem saying I talk shit about our industry and then but
those lost tapes, man. Those lost tapes.
But I think we just get swept up. Let's talk though about episode 2. First of all, I just want to say they're down to hour-long episodes.
There's one last thing I want to say before we deep dive into this. So
I'm sorry, Shelly.
I was writing notes and I was at my girlfriend's house while watching the challenge. We watched the challenge together. The first time she's watched the challenge. And as I was taking notes, which was funny to explain that I actually take notes when I watch this show. Yes, I am a big loser and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
So as I look at my laptop though, I notice there's a note at the very top that says, my girlfriend is super awesome and I love her so much.
Oh.
Hashtag superfacts.
Oh.
I'm just going by the notes on the computer. So,
it must have been you that wrote that because you do say superfacts a lot.
I do say superfacts a lot and it is a super fact. So here we are.
So, I mean, that's a good note and I appreciate the insight.
Little behind the scenes, we don't just give you the behind the scenes of the challenge. We give you the behind the scenes of our lives.
Do you want to know what my first note is?
Yes.
Down to hour-long episodes, which I think is my preference.
So, yeah, I don't know. Okay, so yes, hour-long episodes, totally okay with that. But there were parts where I'm watching it and I'm thinking, this is just speeding along. And I kind of miss the other challenge. But I'll get to that at the end. I'll save that at the end because I have a question at the end, which we'll get to at the end of the pod. But I'll save that. Hour-long episodes. I'm cool with that. And it's easy to speed through, obviously, while you're going through commercials and all that. Yeah. Cool.
I love, listen, sometimes you and I, we do provide insight. And I think our longtime listeners have the same sort of view that we do, that the algorithm where they randomize who's getting paired with who, we said last episode that there's no way it's actually randomized.
Of course not.
And I have to ask you, Shelly, what are the chances that the exes Cinco and Cache are put together?
Well, I talk about this all the time, right? The producering, I feel like I haven't used that made-up term in a long time. But of course, it's producering, right? We're still early on in the season. It's episode 2. So you're going to tug on the ready-made storylines that are already in front of you. Yep. And we've already seen in episode 1, let's be honest, the Love Island people, they don't really play games on their show. They hang out by the pool and flirt. So now you're coming on the challenge. So what are your storylines going to be? It's going to be you flirting with your exes, right? We've already seen week 1, it was Cashel and Kira. They were partnered up after their breakup after Love Island. And then episode 2, what do you know? Randomly selected partners. Cinco and Cachet. Now, what are the chances of that?
We also, like, on that same note, they also paired Tyson and Justine together, and Justine is mad at Tyson for sending Selly home.
Yeah.
So they clearly were like, let's have two plot lines. Yeah. One of them's going to bear fruit.
For sure. And that's just great job of producing. You need storylines, especially early on, especially when people are kind of feeling out each other, feeling out the teams, feeling out what the game is. You need things to at least be able to ask in confessionals to see if there's going to be drama. And obviously Tyson just sent home Justine's best friend in the house, or sent them in. And, you know, Tyson's making moves early, and we'll get to Tyson for sure. Don't worry. But ready-made storylines. But I got to say, Tyson, I'm here for the drama that Tyson provides, right? Like, you need that guy who's, you know, I think he's trying to play that villain role. You need that guy. But I'm not here for the whole Cinco and Cachet. I got tired of that on Love Island. I got tired of that watching that season. And I only really watched Love Island because we were in the pandemic. It was easy watching that, like, killed days of when you couldn't do anything or go anywhere. But I was tired of them then. On the challenge, I'm just like, get out of here. Like, I don't care or want to hear about their feelings, or Cachet doing the exact same thing she did on Love Island, where Cinco's flirting with someone else and then she's off in the distance watching, and then you get the shot of the camera guy being able to frame her and then zoom out and there's Cinco flirting with another girl. Like, we've seen those. That you could take a side-by-side split screen of that exact scene of Love Island, and we saw that on the challenge in episode 2. I'm not here for that. I don't care about that. Neither of y'all are going to win the challenge or have a chance of winning the challenge. So, like, just miss me with all of that.
I hear what you're saying, and I have not watched Love Island, so I don't have the same history with these cast members that you do. But I loved the scene where Cinco is carrying Tiffany and puts her on the top bunk. It's clearly during the day because no one else is in, like, the bunkhouse, except, of course, Cachet. And, like, that was, I mean, first of all, it was brutal. And I did feel bad for her. Like, that would be, like, you're just going to go get your toothbrush or whatever. Like, you're just minding your business.
Yeah.
And your ex carries a woman into bed right beside you. Like, that is horrible.
And an ex on national TV, and an ex that you haven't talked to at all since they became your ex. Like, there's a lot going on. And that was the scene later on in the episode. Early in the episode. Well, they were stretching. Oh no, Tiffany and Cinco were stretching. The rest of the house is seeing it. And there was a crew, because really what's going on in the house as well is you're seeing the lines being drawn between the Survivor crew, the Big Brother crew. All the shows are basically aligned, right? Which makes sense. But you see the Survivor crew and what was it? The Big Brother crew. They're kind of watching from afar.
Yeah.
And Shan is talking about how, you know, Tiffany has, what was their quote? And this might be my quote of the episode, because they're trying to figure out. They're like, oh no, Tiffany has a lot of other interactions outside of the house. And someone's trying to get clarification, like, what do you mean? And she's like, they swapped a bunch of DNA.
I like that.
What?
I love that juxtaposition. I love that Shan was trying to be subtle, circumspect, respectful, and she's like, oh, she's had other interactions. Then she went 0 to 100 real quick. And was like, no, they've exchanged DNA. Like, she went from as, like, vague and, like, PG as possible to, yeah, no, she's fucked. Like,
but also she was talking, like, to me, how it came off was she was trying to say that about multiple people in the house, right? Like, not in the house, but, like, just in, like, the world of the challenge. It seemed like that's what she was saying. And then they tried this whole, like, news graphics thing with Shan that looked pretty trash.
I loved it.
I thought it looked trash. Like,
I loved it.
again, this leads to my point that I'll make at the end of the show, because I wrote down the MTV editors are way better. They would have done a better job of making that joke hit.
Yeah, it could have been funnier. Part of the problem was it was clear to me, and I mean maybe you have other thoughts, that they had her, like, they took a clip of her in confessional and then like superimposed her body on the news desk rather than like get her in on the joke.
Yeah.
So I feel like the MTV production staff would be like, hey, you know what we're going to do? We're going to do this. Can you like lean a little the joke? Just like a subtle difference.
I got you.
I did think it was funny. Like I did have a chuckle at that when I watched it.
A good old chuckle. Huh? Okay.
I did like that Shane was like, I'm not a sloppy sharer. And like, I was like, I don't know about all of that. Like they did just put you behind a virtual news desk.
Yeah.
Like you are just airing Tiffany out for no reason right now. Like that's pretty sloppy. And like to everybody. Like you are not, it's not like you told one person who you're tight with. You're like, hey, people I've known for 3 days, let's talk about how babies are made. Like she was not subtle.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. What do you think of the name of the Daily Challenge?
You know I loved it.
I know. It was right up your wheelhouse, something that you...
Yeah, boy.
That did make me chuckle. I did laugh at that. I gave a slow clap. Thought, well done.
Okay, so you slander me by saying that you knew I would like it, and then you admitted that you like it.
For sure.
Sheldon, we're friends for a reason. It's because you think I'm hilarious. So obviously you're going to think this is funny.
Yep, that's it. That's exactly it. Yeah. Correct. Correct again. You're just on a roll today, man.
I'm waking up. It's the medication.
So I feel like there's still way too many people on this show.
Oh my God.
Because I was trying to like keep track and I'm just like, I have no chance in keeping track.
I gotta say, I know I was critical of names and I felt a little bad about that last week. But then as I chose not to edit the podcast, I was like, maybe I should have said that. I was like, yeah, that's fine. But I have to point out, so there's Cashel, and Cache.
Cache, yeah.
And like, okay, both those names are not common. I think people will allow those are not common names.
Fair.
The cast members are referring to them both as Cash.
Correct.
And people wonder why we get confused. Like, listen, my name is John. No one calls me John in my real life, but like, my name is John. I know what it's like to have literally the world's most common name. I know this. This is what nicknames are for. And you don't make a nickname that is then shared with someone else in this like classroom sized group of people.
Yeah.
Someone's got to, like, you call Cache Cash and then Cashel L. Like you got to do something. You can't. And like, I'll also say, this is going to be funny given your last name. I don't know if we've talked about this. The name Alexander is incredibly common in my family. I'm related to 5 Alexanders. Because it's a very common Scottish name.
Are we related? Like, is that what we're finding out on this pod?
Yeah. Did you not know that? I thought you knew.
Long lost cousins.
That's right. But all the Alexanders in my family go by different things. There's an Al, there's a Xander, there's an Alec, there's an Alex. Like I
like that.
You gotta work with it, you know? Like you gotta do something. You don't call 2 people with different names the same nickname of Cash. Like at one point, like during the competition, they're like, oh, Cash has to be smart about this. I'm like, which Cash? Like, what are you talking about?
Well, I mean, in fairness, I kind of know, and maybe the house guests know, that neither of them will be around that long. So
True.
Does it really matter? Sorry, I just wanted to diss both of them. That's all.
No, that's fine. I'm all for the hate.
I did love Sarah off the front end. Sarah, how she came up and she was talking about the swear jar.
Yeah.
She called herself a badass and then said that, she now has to give her son a dollar, but she's okay with that. She's going to give him $1 while she tries to give him $500K for winning the show. I like that. I thought that was really cool. But I guess we didn't explain what the challenge was. I'll let you know.
I have a story related to the phrase badass.
Okay.
And then let's explain. Yeah, boy. When I was growing up, I had a little Scottish accent because I am a Scottish accent. And when I was in kindergarten, my mom was like looking at my class picture with me and being like, what do you think of like this little boy? And like, what about this? Like, she looks nice. Like, who are your friends? Just like having a conversation with your child as you do.
Okay.
And she got to one kid in the photo and she goes, what do you think of this little boy? Or like, what's this little boy like? He seems nice. I was like, no. And my mom was like, what are you talking about? I'm like, no. He's no good. Teacher called him a bad word. And my mom was like, your teacher called him a bad word? Yeah, a very bad word. She swore about him. And my mom was like, what did your teacher say? Like, I can't have a teacher like cussing out my son or his friends. I said, it's a very bad word. I can't say it. And my mom goes, you can say it this one time. I promise you won't get in trouble. And I go, she called him the E word. And my mom's like, E word? What is the E word? Like, what is this child of mine saying? And my mom like coaxed it out of me. And she's like, you can say it just this one time. And I said, teacher says he's a pain in the S. Because I had a Scottish accent. I thought ass started with E.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
So I thought of that when Sarah was talking about her son. I was like, oh, I would have, small John Hector would have been confused by that.
Also, like, probably would have misspelled a bunch of words in this challenge as well, just because of how they might sound.
And we should talk about that. So, Ya Boy is all about two teams at a time swim out to ladders. They climb the ladders, and then they call them boys. They're not really, like, those weren't like.
Hold on, is it a boy or a buoy?
Great question. I'm so glad you asked. In the United States, it's boy. In this country, in Britain, it's buoy.
How the heck do you know that?
I'm just big on maritime words.
Do you know what the funny part is? Like, I asked the question and then I'm now carving you for knowing the answer. Right? I know that doesn't make sense. But I asked the question knowing that you knew the answer. And I'm like, of course you know the answer. Because these are just the things that you know.
I have so much like trivial knowledge. It's why I'm good at trivia, but I'm not good at life, guys. Like, this is like, I don't have any useful applicable life skills. But like, if you want to ask me how to pronounce like admiralty law terms, I got you. Like, you better believe like I can rhyme off obscure comic book knowledge from the 90s. Don't worry. Like, I am there. I can speak with authority about Albanian sex bunkers, but this, like, how to like.
I'm not even gonna go. I'm not even gonna. No, I'm not falling for that one. I'm not.
Listen, it's not.
It's not bad.
I invite our listeners to Google Albanian sex bunkers. It's not bad.
Just gonna say no comment and move on.
I can't wait. I know someone is gonna Google it, and I can't wait.
We'll save that for next week's episode. Yeah. I look forward to those comments. Maybe Twitter will work by then. So what else? What stuck out to you in this challenge? Because there are too many teams.
We didn't finish explaining it. So they have to jump on they called boys, and they could grab 5 letters. They're like tiles. They have to then drop into the water, swim back to shore, and put together as many words as possible. And they're free to go back and forth as many times as they want within 20 minutes. Go ahead, Sheldon Alexander.
So I was gonna say, there's like, what stood out to you the most? Because there's still so many people. And I know there's some times where we'll go through like how each person did, or like at least like the winning group and how they did. But what stood out to you the most of all of these people?
That they all did it wrong.
There was a lot going on, right? Like I thought there were a couple parts that I found strange, right? Like James and I don't know how to pronounce her name. Is it Kayla? Kyla?
I thought it was Kayla.
Kayla, right? Okay. Um, so James does it, falls into the water twice.
Yeah.
My guy's like crying.
Yeah.
Their team gets a 0.
Mhm.
Now, I don't know if the crying came from the 0 or the fact that the 0 happened on national TV. And like that would be really embarrassing. And I'm not gonna say that, grown men can cry.
Yeah.
No judgment there, except for Joel Embiid. That guy can't cry
Nope.
because he's just the fakest tough guy there is. And that guy can't
He's
cry.
not.
No, not at all. But James, in this situation, I was like, okay, I kind of felt bad for him. And they get a 0,
Yeah.
which kind of, ruined the rest of the challenge, so to speak, because basically every other team just had to get one word and you're good. And I want to bring something up because we've been talking about this last episode and we'll talk about it here as well in terms of strategy. And I feel like this is why you can't, again, have regular challenge people on this show because they might ruin it. Because I know what other challenge members would do is they would just be like, oh, well, we just need to get one word and then we're done. There's no point in showing out.
Yeah.
Whereas all of these people are still very gung-ho about what's going on here, Tyson, and will go over and above still, despite the fact you only need one word. What would you say about said strategy? Because to me, and it's just because I'm used to the challenge, I wouldn't be out here trying to like go that ham. Give me 2 words maybe, and then I'm shutting it down. I'm chilling. I'm going for a nice leisurely swim.
I gotta say, so just off the start, okay, so you're Kayla. Your partner James has taken 2 bad falls. He's a little fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, but like you got 20 minutes. Is the move not to be like, hey James, you okay? Take a deep breath. I'm just gonna pat you on the back. I got you. Hold on to this ladder. I'm gonna fucking go get us a word. Like, am I wrong? And like, I thought about this. So they're allowed to. I thought about this a lot. This is why I didn't sleep last night, Sheldon. I was thinking about this game. You can get 2 words easily from 5 words, from 5 letters. So if she goes up and she pulls down 5 letters, and like, granted, they have to be the right 5 letters.
Yep.
But you can make 2 3-letter words out of that, no problem.
Yeah.
Suddenly you're in the mix. It just takes 1 trip, right? Obviously, she could for sure make 1 word out of 1 trip. I don't know how early into their 20 minutes, James fell and was like out of the competition essentially. But like, what the hell? Like, it takes like 1 minute to be like, oh man, you're fucked up. I'm so sorry. Like, let's take a minute to breathe. Like, I got you. Just hang on to the bottom of the ladder.
So 2 questions here. 1, how do you think you would do with this challenge? And
I would crush the challenge.
Okay.
Like,
I felt like you would say that. And 2, the strategy here, because as you said, right, there should be some strategy to when you actually jump because the thing is rotating. So you can see the letters and jump at a certain point to grab certain letters. Some people didn't do that. As Cash, as I was watching it, we both were sitting there like, did she just grab the letter Q? Like, how did, like, of all the letters, why would she grab Q? Now, she was afraid, clearly, right? Like, she was afraid to drop down. And, she talked about not being able to swim, where I was just like, again, like, how do you come on this show? And I'm not saying you have to be a great swimmer. You don't got to be Michael Phelps. But like, you have to be able to swim with a life jacket on. Like, I can't swim, but I can swim, but I can't like swim. Like, I'm not out here swimming lengths. But you give me a life jacket, I'll be okay.
I feel like we say this every season, but it holds true. Like, if I get called tomorrow, Friday morning, and they're like, guess what, John? We love the podcast. You're going to be on the challenge. Friday afternoon, tomorrow afternoon, I'm going to be in a pool swimming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna swim every day. It's just 30 minutes minimum, but I'm swimming every day.
Facts.
Until I'm going to the airport. Like, I'm not even saying with lessons, like, necessary. I mean, that would be ideal, but like, I am 100% in the pool every day as soon as I get the call.
I'll also be honest. I was also just turned off by Cachet's whole like that when she finally does drop down into the water and then she swims back, and at the end they're doing the confessional and they're like holding each other. And she's like, oh, I didn't think that I was gonna make it, but because he said, come on, I need you, do it for me. Like, I felt that. And that just gave me all the energy I needed, the motivation I needed. So I really couldn't have done it without him. I was just like, really? This is what we're doing? This is what we're doing. Okay. Yeah.
I also want to talk about strategy.
Okay.
First of all, obviously, anyone who's into word games, anyone who's watched Word of Fortune, you just got to think R.L. Stine, right? Famed children's horror, or not really horror, that's probably too strong, but ghost story author R.L. Stine. Because you need R-L-S-T-N-E, and like, those are the most common letters in the English language. Just be targeting those. The letter A is also helpful. And also, no one seemed to appreciate that, like, what matters is the number of words. So you should be going for short words. Like, a 2-letter word is as good as a 9-letter word.
Exactly.
So just like, if you put together a 5-letter word, then you should be having like little 2-letter words coming off of every side. Like,
yeah, agreed. I didn't get it. And I also, to be honest, I know Tyson and his partner Justine end up winning. I get it. They got 9 words, but I didn't understand Tyson's strategy. Like, first off, the Tyson I'm going to get into my Tyson bag here for a second here. The Tyson montage was a bit much. Okay. I didn't really understand his strategy because, as you said, like, just put together words. I get that there's 2 levels to my dislike of Tyson here. Okay. Because it's just doing too much. We talk about this a lot on the episodes of the challenge on this You Killed It pod. People that are doing too much. Tyson is out here doing too much. Here we go. Why would you think that it's a good idea for you to show off and just keep going over and over and over again in a row just to show people that you're not tired at all? He went into this whole thing about, cyclists, and when you go up a hill, you breathe through your nose so that the person beside you can see that you're not even struggling, and that's demoralizing. It's like, bro, you're doing a crossword puzzle, bro. Like, chill out, first off. Secondly, like, you just won the first challenge, okay? You kind of went against the word and kind of made a big move in who you threw in the last episode. So now you want to win again while also showing off how good you are, to then, as we find out, make another big move, okay?
Yeah.
You're doing too much, bro. And the only way that you will win is if you continue to win daily challenges every single day, or win in the elimination. And maybe you're that confident. Maybe he is that good. Maybe, as our Twitter mentions are telling us, he's just that dude and I'm a hater. Maybe that's true. We'll find out. But if you ask me, doing too much. Why did you need to get so many letters, and you got so many letters to only get 9 words? Seemed weird to me.
It's so interesting. Like, I've been thinking about this a lot. This is the other thing that kept me up. But there's so many things that we take for granted in the regular challenge, where the veterans, the long time cast members, they already know, like, Tyson is making a mistake that challenge vets wouldn't make because they're on the show so often. They know that this is going to bite him in the ass. They know that eventually someone's going to win a competition and be like, we got to get Tyson out of here.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there's going to be someone that's like, oh, this guy's not even breathing as he's running past us. We can't have that in the final elimination. This guy's got to go.
Yeah.
Like, there's something to be said for laying low, especially in a format that is designed to call attention to the people that are winning. Yeah. Right? They're in the house. They have a scoreboard with who's earned the most money. It's Tyson right now. He's already at $11,000 when you just need $5,000 to get to the final. It's what he's doing is not sustainable. Eventually, he's not going to win a daily competition. And like, he's been very impressive. I know we're going to get Tyson defenders in the mentions. Yeah. And that's fine. I have the sense that I like him more than you do. I don't know about his political strategy, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but like, I like what he's bringing to the table. I think I would be interested to see how he did in a house that had challenge vets, because like, he is clearly very smart. He is clearly a very good athlete.
Yeah, sorry.
I was just gonna say, you can see that he's sort of starting from square one and not seeing like, there's no immunity idols on the show. And like, you can't put this big a target on your back this early and not have problems.
Yeah. And that's really where my thing comes in. So I do want people to message in and tell us, especially our Survivor fans, because it's not only the challenge, but even Big Brother. Big Brother, the same things happen all the time where someone wins early, right? They feel like they're running the house. And then by like week 4 or 5, you're out because everyone's like, we got to get this guy out of here. And he is purposely in multiple ways putting a target on his back by winning challenges, by showing off in winning challenges, and then going against, I don't know if consensus is the word, but he then, in making his decisions and who to put in, is making very controversial moves. It's not just like, hey, let's get out this easy person. And the reason why, there might be people listening thinking like, oh, you're hating on him or blah, blah, blah. I don't know. But the reason why, to me, this is a big thing. Again, maybe I'm just too caught up in what the normal challenge is like. But if you had normal challenge people in this house, this is the wrinkle that should get Tyson up out of here. The fact that if he doesn't win a daily challenge, the people who do win, you get to go into the elimination and see what the elimination is going to be. And then you can make your decision right there on the spot to throw him in to an elimination that you think he might not do well in. That, to me, is where you're doing too much is not a good idea, because people might be afraid to go against you in an elimination. But let's say that it was Hall Brawl, right? Because we've seen in a promo that Hall Brawl is one of the eliminations. So let's say it's Hall Brawl, and Tyson, he's fast, he's athletic, he's agile, cool. But what if he goes in against Cinco, who I'm pretty sure played football? I think I can't quite remember, but I think he played like D1 football or something.
And Danny played for the Dallas Cowboys.
The Dallas Cowboys, exactly. Better example.
It's Danny who did it. Yeah.
Way better example, right? So what if we get now to an elimination and it's Danny's in there, and then we see that it's Hall Brawl? And I know that sounds like, there's so many chess pieces working, but that's how the challenge works. And maybe these people don't understand that because they're not that familiar with the challenge. So they'll let Tyson skate by and let him run the game because they're afraid of him, because that's what happens in Survivor. But to me, doing way too much. But it's entertaining. And as I like to say, are you not entertained?
I mean, I know we have always said this, but like, we always praise CT, like modern CT, in these formats where they're like, you got to win a skull, because CT strategy is always I'm gonna win my skull against someone easy, and then I'm just gonna coast to the end.
Yeah.
That, if you're like, for all intents and purposes, Tyson is the CT of the season. He's the guy to beat. That's the move. You're Tyson. You're like, I've already won a daily. I've got enough money in the bank to go to the final. I'm just gonna work out and hang out. Like, I'm just gonna like be super fit. I'm gonna eat healthy. I'm gonna rest up. I'm gonna enjoy my time in, where are they? Argentina, and beautiful Argentina. Like, this is a free vacation. Like, that's the move.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I know someone messaged us saying, because I said Survivor backyard games and as opposed to the challenge. I didn't say that to diss the Survivor games, but what I mean is, especially in Big Brother, and Big Brother is more of the backyard games, right? And when people are locked in, like when someone knows, like, oh no, I can dominate these challenges and they need to win, they can win challenges. The challenges, the daily challenges on this show are way different. So you could think that you need to win challenges and you can win challenges because you're that dude, but it's not that easy. Plus, add in the thing where you don't get to decide who your partner is. So you could just have a week where you just have a terrible partner and your partner costs you. And now that's why you're in the elimination. I just think Tyson is taking a huge risk at this point. But I will say this, and I don't do spoilers, so I don't know anything about that. But the one thing that makes me weary of Tyson going deep into this competition is that I was listening to the Ringer podcast, as I normally do. Shout out to the Ryan Russillo podcast and Life Advice segment. I enjoy that a lot. But there was a promo that Tyson is doing a recap pod on the challenge on the Ringer. And I was like, okay. What are the chances that he would do that if he didn't really have a good season? I don't know. So here we are. I want to hear all the people's comments because I guess this is 2 episodes in a row where I'm just dissing everyone's favorite Tyson. So we'll see.
I have one more thing to add, and to bring us back to recapping. So Cachet is talking mad brazy about Tiffany to Kira. Kira also says Tiffany is gathering all the guys around her, to which I ask, is she? Like, it seems like she's just hanging with Cinco.
With Cinco, and her partner is Cash.
Yeah. So like, what she's supposed to do. She also, like, this to me is a common thing that happens in the challenge house and in Big Brother and Survivor, where like people's perception within the house doesn't really line up with reality. Like, how many times on a TV show, on a reality TV show, have you heard someone say, oh, so-and-so is so powerful, so-and-so have the house, and you're like, oh, but you're talking about Josh, the world's most annoying person. Like, what are you talking about, you know?
Yeah.
And like, I appreciate we have a different perspective as viewers, but anyway.
Well, the way that Cash was talking about, she's like, well, Tiffany just has all these people wrapped around her finger, and I feel like she's trying to, and she took it like as if Tiffany was playing 3D chess when like she's just flirting with Cinco. And I think she even said, she's like, hey, if this is going to help me get further in the game, cool. But I didn't think it was that deep. And Cachet made it seem like it was some like elaborate plot that she was using to like mesmerize all the men in the house. And they were all like following her like zombies, like, okay, Tiffany, whatever you say.
And then, as if to like immediately shame Cachet and Kira's impression of what's going on in the house, they go to the elimination. They end up calling down Tiffany and Cashel. And Tyson says, like, this is almost word for word what he said. Tiffany is not the glue of the Big Brother Alliance. And then they have like a montage of him asking Big Brother people, like, what do they think of Tiffany? And they're all like, nah, get her out of here. So like, what Cachet was thinking is absolutely inaccurate. And like, it wasn't just the women of the Big Brother Alliance. Like, Xavier's like, get her out of here. Like, everyone is like, nah. And I have to say,
go on.
I have to say, I think Tyson blew it. Like, I don't understand the logic of, okay, you're a Survivor person.
Mhm.
Everyone knows that the house is split between Survivor and Big Brother.
Mhm.
If everyone in the Big Brother house is like, oh, Tiffany, can't stand her, she's the person I'd want to keep in the house from the Big Brother Alliance because I would see her as a disruptive influence. I'd be like, oh, here's this poison pill, a locker room cancer in the Big Brother locker room. Tiffany can stay. This is fine. Like, let's get rid of someone on the Big Brother Alliance that they all like. Like, who is the linchpin? Let's
Like
get rid of that.
Xavier.
Yeah. So, like, I don't, again, Tyson is making moves, but I don't think they're the smartest moves. And I don't know the wisdom about making moves at all right now.
It was a very strange move, and there was a lot of things going on. And again, I'll need my guy LT to help me out here, but I thought Tiffany was part of the cookout, right? And then the whole thing was Xavier and Alyssa, like they were the fake partners on their season of Big Brother, while Xavier was really running with the cookout. But he says to her, hey, if there's something I can do to save you, I will, even if it involves putting in Tiffany. And I was kind of like, wait, what am I missing here? So there's clearly something that, hey, I don't know, maybe something happened after Big Brother or on Big Brother that, you know, makes Xavier or maybe the rest of the cookout not really that cool with Tiffany. Like maybe they were just cool with her because of the number in the house, but they weren't as cool, like locked, or weren't as locked in coming into this season of the challenge. I don't know. But something just seemed off there because, as you said, the montage showed that everyone's just like, yeah, get rid of her. Like, it's fine. We can do without Tiffany. So, yeah, Tiffany gets thrown in. And it was very strange, too, because I thought, you know, when they were asking James and Kayla who they wanted to go against, James kind of was going off on like all these. Kayla was just like, whatever. And James is going off on all these tangents. And to have it come around that it was Tiffany, I was kind of surprised because I was like, oh, this is a big move by Tyson. Again, making a very big move in the house. And you just broke down and kind of changed my mind on, you know, why it was a big move. Because I thought, you know, I was looking at it as, oh, you're taking a big shot at the other side. But you just broke down, I think, perfectly why it was a big move, but in not the way that we think. So we go into this elimination. Knowledge is powered, right? And of course, as mentioned, it's going to be Tiffany and Cashel against James and Kayla. So you have 4 bikes. Each, you and your partner on a bike, you have to ride the bike, power, pedal. Basically get your Peloton on to light up a light. Once a light pops up, a puzzle pops up on your screen for 10 seconds. You have to memorize the 2 rows of symbols. And then once it goes away, you hop off the bike, try to put the puzzle together. You got to do that 3 times to win. My question to you, Mr. John Chidley Hill, who did you think was going to win? Because I was like, oh, Tiffany and Cash got this. That's what I thought. I was wrong.
I thought that as well,
Okay.
until James said the magic words. He turned to his partner, he turned to Kayla, and he said, oh, this is just going to be like a spin class.
Yeah.
As soon as someone is like, oh, this is going to be great, it's just going to be like a spin class, and you have to do a cycling thing, you're fucked.
Yeah.
They're like, and like we saw it. Kayla and James, like as soon as he said that, I'm like, oh, this is not going to go the way people think it's going to go. Yeah. Like I entered into it, I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry to see James and Kayla go. And then as soon as literally he said the word spin class, I'm like, oh no. Like the Vegas odds just flipped with the use of that phrase. Whole new ball game.
And I think Kayla got a lot of people on her side when she was talking about, was it her stepdaughter or son? I can't remember. Stepdaughter?
It's her boyfriend's daughter.
Boyfriend's daughter. Yes. Sorry. Right. And how like she wanted to do it for her. I was like, oh, and everyone's like, you know, just watching that. I think she became kind of like a viewer favorite in that moment, you know? So people were rooting for James and Kayla, I think. And you're right. As soon as they mentioned the spin class thing, I wonder if this is an example, a great example of what I was just talking about in terms of you get to see what the elimination is. So, if I was producing this episode, what I would have done is I would have leaked in that information of them saying, hey, we get to the elimination and we see, oh, got this. This is food. Put in the big dogs. Put in whoever we think the biggest dog is. Put them in against us. We got this.
Yeah.
I wonder if that happened. And I don't know. Who knows? They didn't show us that. But that's how I would have massaged this episode to make it look. Because even if as it starts, like they got out to the first one, but as this went longer and longer, they were chilling on the bikes, right? They were smiling, they were happy, and then it cuts over to Cash, and Cash is like booking it, working hard and sweating buckets, and I'm like, yo, how are they not getting there yet? And you see Tiffany just struggling. I was like, oh, that's what's happening here. Okay.
Well, and also I think James and Kayla recognized that it's not in terms of speed, but consistency.
Yes.
And like they even synced up their feet.
Mm-hmm.
So like their bikes were generating the same amount of power.
Yeah.
At all times, we assume. Whereas Cash and Tiffany, as you said, I mean, I forget who said it, but they said, it looks like Cash's bike is actually going to move. He's going so hard.
He was going ham. I felt bad for him because he was like sweating buckets.
I felt bad for him too because I hate to point this out. He did nothing wrong. He was, air quotes, randomly selected to be Tiffany's partner. Yeah. All he did was chat with his partner from time to time and seemed otherwise to be a good dude.
Yeah.
Like he was just sort of existing, and then like he got caught up in this drama. He didn't even get caught up in it. He was just like, the drama happened around him. Next thing you know, he's blindsided into elimination, and then like has to work his ass off, and Tiffany was gassed, and then they got eliminated. And like, I mean, you already alluded to it, but like Tiffany and Cash, they had to do 3 rounds. Yep. They won the first round, and then James and Kayla won the next 3 rounds, and like game over. I have to say, I liked this elimination. I thought it was interesting and a different skill set, but like a nice combination of brains and physicality and stamina.
Yep.
And I have to say, I'm increasingly a James fan, so I was glad to see my guy stick around at least one more week.
Yeah, they're good competitors for sure, good characters on the show for sure, which leads me to my question of the episode. Do we like this show?
I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
I like it. I am enjoying it. I think that I don't want to say that the regular challenge was stale, but the regular challenge was having trouble with good casting. They, I guess because of COVID-19, and they were relying more and more on international casting, plus bringing back the same 20 people. Like, I think you'll recall the last regular season you and I recapped, we talked about how like some people needed a rest, like Kyle needed a rest, Josh needed a rest, right? And so like I'm enjoying having an interesting dynamic cast. I do miss seeing like some old favorites, but like this is okay. Like this is okay. I don't know that's the best version of the challenge, but like I'm enjoying this more than I thought I might. How about you?
I agree with you. And I think my biggest thing was I was struggling to separate it from the actual challenge, right? So I was still watching it under the lens of wait, where's the club scene? Where's the music? I need the music. I need like the vibes of the house and people just hanging out by the pool, busting jokes and making fun of people. Like I need all that stuff. But if you just separate, and I kind of talked about this last episode too, right? Like you just change the name of the show and it's just whatever, CBS USA Challenge, I don't know, whatever. It's just a different show and it's okay. Like I like the characters, the competitions are cool. I like the strategy of it all. You're always going to have me in on all that stuff, right? You know, the what is Tyson going to do next? How do you play this game out? All that stuff. You're always going to get me on that. But I need to remove myself from comparing it to the actual challenge. And if I do that, I can allow myself to enjoy the show more and just wait for the other regular challenge. Hopefully, with them making this, they can go back to just having the normal challenge as is, while also having the CBS versions, and they can exist in the same world, and we get to go back to what the other challenge was.
Mm-hmm.
That's my hope.
Yeah, I would like that as well. And again, like I think that the original challenge, when they had sort of the format of they would have a season of the real world, and then they would have a season of the challenge, and then a season of the real, and like I think that was the best. I think that was sort of the challenge at its peak in terms of quality.
Yep.
And when the real world kind of died as a format, and I understand why it died.
Yeah.
They lost that structure, and then they had all-star seasons and the versus star seasons, and like I don't want to say it watered it down, but because I don't know that it watered it down, but it lost those rest periods. And like one thing that was great about the challenge in that period where they're alternating between the real world and the challenge was that you would not someone like Wes or even like a Johnny Bananas was not on every season.
Yeah.
And then like I think they sort of burnt out their pool, and so they just kept getting the same people back. Like famously, like obviously what's her face, the Brazilian, you know, some people chalked up some of the things she said and did to emotional burnout. I think Cara Maria, who people really liked, really wore people out because she was on too much and is maybe putting it into a bad place mental health wise.
Yeah.
Whereas like, again, like it's hard to actually believe this, but like there was a period where Johnny Bananas was not on every season. There was a period where CT wasn't on every season.
Yeah.
And like it was always like part of the hook was, oh, I wonder who's showing up this season. Whereas now we could all be like, oh yeah, so Kyle's for sure going to be there, and CT and Josh, and like you could list off like 5 or 6 people that were like locks to be there, and like it wasn't as good. It wasn't as good for us or them.
Yeah, I think for me too, I realized that if I watched Survivor and if I watched Big Brother regularly, I would have a lot of those feelings that I have about, you know, getting annoyed with Cinco and what's her name and Cachet, you know what I mean? Or I would like rep Tyson more, or maybe even hate Tyson more because there's a relationship there already. So I'm now trying to take the step back and acknowledge those things. And I like that. I like the show. I think the show is pretty good. They made it an hour, and maybe I don't need all the extra fluff with these people that I don't really know because I've seen them for a season on the real world. And that's okay. So I like it. I'm in.
I have to ask you though, Sheldon, who killed it for you this week? It's a tough question this week.
So it's tough. And this is going to sound weird because I crushed him for most of the episode, but it is Tyson. He is running the game so far. And, you know, it's the question is who killed this episode? And it's Tyson. He dominated the challenge. He showed out. He showed off. He won. He made like a quote unquote big move in terms of throwing in Tiffany. And as of now, he's dominating. Now, do I think that will affect him going forward? Yes. As I've explained earlier, I think he's doing too much. But in terms of this episode, Yeah, I'll give that to Tyson. Respect where respect is due.
I am going to also go with Tyson, but the reason why I'm going with Tyson is because he's the only one making moves.
Mm-hmm.
Like James is having, like James really impressed me when he and Kayla were having a conversation with Tyson and Justine, and like James's assessment of the house I thought was on point, super accurate. But Tyson's the only one that seems to be making strategic moves, even though neither you nor I agree with the decisions he's making. At least he's making decisions.
Yeah.
And like, you know, he has won 2 dailies. Like, we can't deny that.
Mm-hmm.
He did hurt the Big Brother Alliance, although they seemed very cool with it.
Yeah. Which is weird because I think like early on your numbers are the most important thing, so you'd want to keep your numbers, but hey.
But I think that's a reflection on their perception of the game rather than like a thoughtful and well-reasoned strategy on their part.
Yeah.
So it's for Tyson as well. Like I agree that Tyson was the MVP, but like it's a reluctant one from me.
Yeah.
Where can the good people find you on social media?
You can find me on Twitter at Shell Alexander and on Instagram at Sheldon Alexander. Of course, like and subscribe wherever you get the podcast. Hit the button, send in your comments, all that fun stuff. Follow us on the YouTube page. Search You Killed It Podcast or Sheldon Alexander. You know, watch along with us. Hit us with a like. It's very easy. It's how you support the pod. We appreciate that.
And you can find me on Twitter or Instagram or both. I'm not your boss. At J Chidley Hill. And until next week, this was You Killed It.
You killed it.
On blast.